In Panama, the alliances and groups representing the popular forces and the national government reached a partial agreement at the Unified Dialogue table. In Argentina, accusations and reactions to the declaration made by Aldo Rico, ex-general of Los Cara Pintada, and the opposition continue. The Russian Ministry of Defense confirmed that strikes near the port of Odessa, Ukraine, destroyed only military targets. Hello, welcome to From the South. I'm Luis Alberto Matos from the teleSUR studios in Havana, Cuba. We begin with the news. In Panama on Monday, the alliances and groups representing the popular forces and the national government reached a partial agreement at the Unified Dialogue table. The three social groups acknowledged that it has been a very complex process and that besides the points agreed upon, there are two pending important issues. One of them is setting a cap on businesses' profit margin, and the other one is price regulation to stop the abuses of employers and businessmen against the Panamanian people, for they have indiscriminately increased prices of basic goods such as food, medicines, and electricity. Saul Mendez, coming out of the meeting, related how negotiations went about. This Sunday, the study of the political trial installed in the Paraguayan Congress, which could imply the removal of Sandra Quiñones, the Attorney General, was adjourned in its fourth recess to continue this Monday. The session held on Sunday was marked by tense debate and pressure from numerous citizens outside Parliament demanding the official's removal from her position. She is accused of having favored former President Horacio Cartes, currently under investigation for corruption and money laundering. This Sunday is the third project against the prosecutor, who has always managed to avoid trial thanks to the votes of the ruling party, but the situation has changed, according to Deputy Katia Gonzalez, who at the end of the session assured that they are closer than ever to achieving it.
Tomorrow, in principle, the fourth hold will be available for the next 24 hours. That is to say that tomorrow at 2 o'clock in the afternoon, the session will resume. And we would like to ask you to trust us. We are closing on numbers. We believe it is possible, like never before, and we have to win over the undecided.
The Liberal Party's candidate for the presidential elections, Efrain Alegre, was asked about the impeachment of the Attorney General and her possible removal from office, and assured that the jury's decision will show which parliamentarians are for the country and which are not.
We're not going to solve a problem of organized crime in Paraguay just by dismissing the prosecutor, Sandra Quiñones. But it is an important step and a very important message. We have ratified this position, we have spoken out on the matter, and we have also sent a message to all the members of the Concertación about the relevance of this vote, of this decision. A decision which I believe divides the Congress into those who support the country and those who otherwise support the mafia.
This Sunday, numerous social and trade union organizations in Bolivia rejected the call for a strike made by Fernando Camacho, governor of Santa Cruz, and expressed their support for President Luis Arce and Vice President David Choquehuanca. The coordinating bodies of Bolivian organizations and movements have strongly rejected the call by the government of Santa Cruz because, in addition to the economic damage, they recognize that the only objective they are pursuing is to destabilize the country. They assure that under the current administration, Bolivia is recovering all its indicators, which were seriously affected by the de facto government. Santiago Sao City, president of the Popular Civic Committee of Bolivia, has ratified that Camacho's intentions are merely political and asked the country's authorities to guarantee and protect the right to work, to education, and to free movement throughout the country. In Peru, the deadline for Parliament to present their list of candidates for the National Congressional Board of Directors during the 2022-2023 session expires this Monday. The plenary establishes that duly constituted members of Congress or parliamentary groups will present their proposals to the Congress's chief clerk's office. The Parliament has decided that the election for the 2022-2023 annual session will take place on Tuesday, 23rd July at 10 o'clock local time, up to 24 hours before the vote. For his part, Eduardo Salhuana, spokesman for Alliance for Progress, announced that this formula will be headed by his colleague, Lady Camones, current first Vice President of Congress. In Haiti, Prime Minister Ariel Henry on Sunday expressed his sympathies regarding the death of 17 Haitians whose boat capsized as they were trying to flee violence and poverty. Through his Twitter account, the Prime Minister expressed his condolences and reiterated the importance of unity throughout the country. He called for national reconciliation to solve the conflicts that have prompted so many citizens to flee the nation. The boat capsized some 12 kilometers off the island of New Providence in the Bahamas. It had at least 60 people on board. On this incident, Bahamas Prime Minister Philip Davis offered his condolences to the victims' relatives and condemned human trafficking activities.
I would like to convey the condolences of my government and the people of the Bahamas to the families of those who lost their lives in this tragedy. My government, from the time it came into office, has continually warned against these treacherous voyages. We take this opportunity to strongly condemn the organization of smuggling operations which risk human life and compromise our national security. Those found to be involved will face prosecution.
We are now taking a short break, so join us again after this. Welcome back to From the South. In Argentina, accusations and reactions to the declarations made by Aldo Rico, ex-general of Los Cara Pintada, and the opposition continue. Such statements have been considered a violation of the constitutional order and a clear coup maneuver against the government of President Alberto Fernandez. Deputies of Frente Amplio have expressed their rejection to what they call a brutal exchange rate that aims at an abrupt devaluation of the national currency and calls for impeachment proceedings against the head of state. They have also condemned the death threats against the Vice President Cristina Fernandez and the attacks on the Patria Institute. The Secretary for Human Rights, Horacio Pietra Gala Corti, has filed criminal charges against former military officers Aldo Rico for crimes against the constitutional order after he publicly called for a military uprising. In Mexico, a group of 225 migrants was located in a warehouse in the municipality of Jilotepec in the central mountain area of the state of Mexico, according to the National Migration Institute. Through a press release, the institute said that out of 225 asylum seekers rescued, 194 are from Guatemala, 14 from Honduras, 9 from Nicaragua, 5 from Cuba, and 3 from El Salvador. There are also minors in the group, whose nationality has not yet been made public. The discovery was possible thanks to a tip with the exact location to the state and municipal police. These migrants were crammed into a warehouse where they were waiting for the traffickers who would take them to the northern Mexican border. The Colombian party Comunes, or Commons, will introduce 28 bills relating to the implementation of the peace agreement and economic and political modifications. According to a communique, those occupying the parliament seats for the Commons party will promote projects in favor of peace. Those projects include political and electoral reforms, the election of control bodies, guarantees to social protests, and relating to agrarian jurisdictions and parks with farmers. The communique details that these measures are key for the government of President-elect Gustavo Petro to fulfill his electoral promises. The communique also mentions the Freedom of the Free Peace signatories murder as an example of the absence of humanitarian guarantees in the country, and it calls on to solve the crisis aggravated by the government of Ivan Duque. The Bolivar and San Martin International Colloquium began in Venezuela this Monday, July 25th, in the framework of the 200th anniversary of the memorable meeting between the two leaders in the province of Guayaquil. The meeting, to be held in the theater of the Military Academy of the Bolivarian National Guard, will bring together historians from more than 10 countries to share their views on the matter. In this context, the president of the Center for Simón Bolívar Studies, Alejandro López, pointed out that this interview represents what the joint action of the peoples of our American continent against imperialism means. On Sunday, U.S. Congress Representative Jason Crow, member of the House Intelligence Committee, claimed that his country has made biological weapons that target human DNA. Crow, representative by the state of Colorado and former military serving in Iraq and Afghanistan, clearly said that many of these weapons have already been developed. He recalled that although medical information is private, there are companies that acquire it and sell it. Speaking alongside Pentagon representatives, Crow said that protection of commercial data in the United States has degraded alarmingly in the last 20 years.
Yeah, so to be clear, I think one of the things we're talking about here is that there are now weapons under development and developed that are designed to target specific people. Right, that's what this is, where you can actually take someone's DNA, take their medical profile, and you can target a biological weapon that will kill that person or take them off the battlefield or make them inoperable. So you can't have a discussion about this without talking about privacy and commercial data and the protection of commercial data, because expectations of privacy have degraded over the last 20 years. Young
The Geophysical Institute of Ecuador registered Monday 2 earthquakes with epicenters in the province of Carchi bordering with Colombia. The institute reported that the first quake had a magnitude of 5.2 on the open Richter scale and occurred at 8:33 a.m. local time, 1262 kilometers from San Gabriel in Carchi. The second quake occurred minutes later with a magnitude of 4.1 and 16.3 kilometers away from the city. Preliminary reports from the ECU 911 Integrated Security Service indicated that the earthquakes damaged 18 homes in 3 districts of the province, as well as receiving reports of 5 people with nervous breakdowns and 1 person injured by the fall of a wall. And more news coming up after a final short break, so don't go away. Welcome back from the south. The Russian Ministry of Defense confirmed that strikes near the port of Odessa, Ukraine, destroyed only military targets. According to the Russian defense, on July 23rd, there were attacks aimed at military targets, and thanks to the precision of the attack, only these were destroyed. It detailed that a Kalib cruise missile destroyed a Ukrainian military vessel in the dock of the naval repair plant, while a second missile hit a warehouse of Harpoon anti-ship missiles supplied by the United States. For their part, Ukrainian authorities accused Russia of destroying wheat warehouses and related facilities. This was spread by international media despite the fact that the videos of witnesses refuted, showing that the facilities of the port of Odessa were not damaged at all. During his visit to the Congo, Russian Foreign Minister Sergei Lavrov said that the target of the attack in Odessa was a Ukrainian military vessel and an ammunition depot.
As for the objectives targeted by high-precision strikes, they are located in a separate part of the port of Odessa, in the so-called military part of the port, and the targets were a Ukrainian military vessel and a munition depot, where the Harpoon anti-ship missiles were recently delivered. They were delivered in order to threaten the Russian Black Sea Fleet.
The Russian diplomat also stressed that there are no obstacles for them to start the delivery of Ukrainian grain in accordance with the agreement signed in Istanbul.
Objectives experts confirmed what we had said from the beginning, that the grain terminal of the port of Odessa is at a considerable distance from the military unit. There are no obstacles for the grain to start being delivered to the customers in accordance with the signed agreements in Istanbul, and we have not created them.
Iranian military officials announced the launching of a new satellite into orbit in the coming month. Speaking at a ceremony in Tehran on Sunday, Brigadier General Amighali Hajizadeh said this new satellite will be sent into space aboard the Qem launcher, hailing this project as another achievement of Iran in the field of aerospace technology. Iran is already one of 11 nations in the world capable of designing, manufacturing and launching satellites into space, and the only one in the West Asian region to have developed and manufactured a satellite launcher. Tehran claims that its space program development and research is peaceful and based on a defense doctrine, therefore it poses no threats to others. And China on Sunday launched Wentian, the first lab module of its space station, atop the giant Long March 5B Y3 carrier rocket from the Wentian spacecraft launch site on the coast of the southern island province of Hainan. The new module will function both as a backup of the core module Tianhe and as a powerful scientific experiment platform. The Wentian module is 17.9 meters long, has a maximum diameter of 4.2 meters and a takeoff mass of 23 tons, according to Liu Gan, deputy chief designer of the China Manned Space Program Space Station System with the China Academy of Space Technology. The cabin Wentian is mainly for studies on space life sciences. It is equipped with scientific cabinets that can support experiments on life and ecology, biotechnology, as well as comparative studies of biological growth mechanisms under varying gravity conditions. Algeria's Foreign Minister Ramtan Lamamra begins an official visit to Syria on Sunday. The head of the Algerian diplomacy was received by his counterpart, the Minister of Foreign Affairs and expatriates Faisal al-Mekdad, at the international airport of Damascus. The two foreign ministers had the opportunity to meet in early July when the Syrian foreign minister attended the celebration of the 60th anniversary of Algeria's independence. On that occasion, he was also received by President Abdelmadjid Tebboune, and although the visiting foreign minister's agenda has not yet been released to the media, it is expected to bear some similarity to the one organized in Algeria. And teleSUR English continues to grow its signal and reaches Europe. You can order from your cable dealer or tune it yourself. These parameters that you see on screen are in place since July 1st, and quite soon further changes will be implemented for the signals in the Middle East and Africa. Now more than ever, the world connects to us and our stories are heard in other faraway nations. This news multi-platform will continue providing truthful content to oppose the hegemonic media's narrative and of faithfulness to our audience. And like this, we have come to the end of this news brief. Remember, you can find these and many other stories on our website at telesurenglish.net. You can also join us on our social media, Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, and Telegram. For teleSUR English, I'm Luis Alberto Matos. Thank you for watching.